Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And on a generally quiet Wednesday for Celtic Football Club, we're still waiting on that spark to start the summer off. But we have a few things to talk about. We've got a story about the future of Greg Taylor as he potentially leaves the club in the coming weeks. We have a couple of interviews from players who are still at the club, one being Daizen Maeda, as we hope to hear good news about his Celtic future. And a couple of other wee things to dance round, so bear with me on this Wednesday evening. We're going to try and get through it all as quickly as possible. Aye, let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We're so very close to 50,000 subscribers, around 250 away. So if you haven't, get down there, get your mas, your dads, your grannies, your grandas, your dugs, everybody subscribing. That would be appreciated. I apologise for the late upload tonight. It's been an incredibly busy day, so I'm going to try and get through things as quickly as possible. I'm sorry if I mince my words throughout this. I'm going to try and set a world record for words per minute. As we all know, Greg Taylor's Celtic career could very well be coming to an end in these next couple of weeks. He hasn't put pen to paper on a new contract. It looked as though he was saying farewell to the Celtic supporters after the Scottish Cup final defeat at Hampden, and generally speaking, all signs indicate towards his departure. And a story that came out this afternoon from Greece might show signs of where his next destination is. So here was an article that went live this afternoon that was picked up upon by the Scottish media. This was around 11 o'clock this morning, that PAOK in Greece have made an offer to Greg Taylor to acquire him from Celtic, and they're awaiting the Scottish left-back's response. The article went on to say that PAOK have made an official offer to Greg Taylor. The Scottish left-back, who is their primary target to strengthen their defensive line, is free from Celtic and is considered by the doubleheaders to be an ideal choice as he possesses the characteristics they are looking for. PAOK have apparently offered a 2-year contract with the option to extend for another year and have significantly improved the salaries compared to what he was receiving at Celtic. The 27-year-old footballer is currently in Dubai with his family, and PAOK are anxiously awaiting their response. So this came from Sportal Greece, a sports publication this afternoon, and it seems like it's a story that has a bit of reliability in it, credibility in it. It could be the location that Greg Taylor goes next. Of course, one of the biggest teams in Greece, playing out of Athens, constantly in European football, Champions League football, and apparently with a significant improvement on his salary, could be an ideal place for him and his family to go on what is quite a short-term contract. You know, at the age of 27, when you're moving clubs, you're used to hearing players signing 4 or 5 year deals. The fact that this is only a 2-year deal with an option then on top of it suggests that Greg Taylor could go over to a place like Greece for a couple of years, pick up some big money, and then come back over to Britain. That might be an ideal move for him and his family. It might be one that he's seriously considering. And as PAOK anxiously await their response, it's looking like the most likely option for Greg Taylor on the table at this moment in time. Bloody Greg Taylor. Of course, for a long time, the favourites seemed to be Dinamo Zagreb, but they sacked Fabio Cannavaro in around March time, which put to an end the Greg Taylor to Zagreb stories. It now seems like PAOK are leaving the way. There's still a small, tiny, and I mean minuscule chance that he re-signs with Celtic, but you know, if more money's on the table and if guaranteed football is there for him every week, I think this might be the move. I think it's only a matter of days now till we hear something official from the club. Yeah, what can you do? That's life. It's happened. Greg Taylor's moving on, probably. It looks as though PAOK could be the place he's going. I wish him the best of luck. And to be honest, I'll be very jealous of him, sunning it up in Athens every week for the next 2 years. You know, that sounds like a delight, so best of luck to him. Of course, Celtic have already been linked with a couple of left-back options as well, which I think basically confirms that Greg Taylor is off. I don't think we'd be looking at, the likes of Harley Mills, who we've spoke about in the last couple of days, if he wasn't leaving as an absolute certainty. So, yeah, I wish Greg Taylor the best of luck. I'll keep you up to date if he does get his move, but right now it's looking like Greece is where he'll be heading. Talking about left-backs, we are all patiently awaiting the arrival of Kieran Tierney. We know he's signing back for the club this summer and should arrive at Celtic on the 1st of July. And he said his farewells to Arsenal. They have officially confirmed his departure. They have had the last word with Kieran Tierney and spoke to him one final time ahead of his exit from I was going to say the massive English side, but it's Arsenal. Anyway, Arsenal published this interview. You can go and watch it with Kieran Tierney saying his farewells to the club and talking about his return back up the road. So, yeah, Kieran Tierney's arrival to Celtic is pending. We've already seen photos and videos circulating of him back up the road. I think actually it's been confirmed by his barber that he's back up the road. So, yeah, I think Celtic's official announcement is still a few weeks away. I'd imagine they'll wait till July 1st to actually reveal it. But who knows? Maybe there's an away kit shoot pending with him standing in the shirt. It's only a matter of time. But he said his farewells to Arsenal, and it was really nice to see the response that he was getting from the Arsenal supporters, because he's been really unlucky down south. I think that we're kind of lucky in this, because if he didn't suffer with as many injuries and played every week, every season, I don't think he'd be coming back to Celtic right now. I think we're really, really lucky in that regard that we're getting him back. But you can see the quality has seeped right through into the Arsenal team and supporters. They all were big fans of him in the changing room, from what we've heard. The fans all adore him. That's the kind of character and player we're getting back now. We are so incredibly lucky, and I cannot wait to see this horrible Arsenal tracksuit turn into the green and white very, very soon. Over the past couple of hours, there was a big story that broke from Germany concerning a reported Celtic target, I should say, Youssef El Kachati. He has been linked with the club over the past couple of weeks during the pending departure from Holland. There's been a big story that's came out tonight, which has kind of opened the door for Celtic to sign him if he is a genuine striker target for the club this summer, because it came out of Germany that he's rejected Hanover in Germany tonight, which has kind of alarm bells ringing, because there's a quote that we'll go through in a moment. This was the headlines that the Daily Record were picking up on, that there has been a U-turn for Youssef El Kachati, who has rejected Hanover at the 11th hour. Apparently, he did have an agreement to sign with the club following his departure from Telstar. They just got promoted to the Dutch Eredivisie. He was a massive part of it, had a great campaign, 25 goals in 45 games to be precise. Well, he's been linked with Celtic. Little did I know, and I don't think many people knew, that there was apparently a move to Hanover already on the cards, already in the offing. I don't know if he's been reading what's been said about him and Celtic, because apparently he's rejected the German side because he wants to join a top tier club playing in European competition. Now, all night since this story has broke, I have googled his name and seen what clubs he's linked with, and I'm not going to lie, outside of Celtic, there's no other big tier European clubs playing in Europe that are being linked with this guy. I'm not saying that this is something to read into too heavily, but all I am saying is, for him to knock back quite a decent move to the Zwei Bundesliga with Hanover when there's no guarantees in the table seems a bit foolish. Does this mean that there's a guarantee in the table elsewhere? Does this mean that Celtic are potentially serious about Youssef El Kachati? I don't know. Is this Celtic's new striker? I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just trying to do some investigator work. I'm giving food for thought here. It just seems very strange, after the last couple of days of ramped up conversation, him being linked with Celtic. If he knew he had a move on the table to then cancel it, it must be for good reason. It must be for good reason. So, yeah, I would keep an eye out on his name online over the next couple of days, because there might be something in this. That's all I'm saying. There might be something here. Is he my top target for Celtic in finding a new starting striker, finding a new talisman up top? No, he's not my number one, but I think he looks good. I think he looks really, really good, in fact. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. He's had a great season. Yeah, big story coming out tonight. So just to finish up today, we had a couple of interviews coming out today from Celtic players who are currently with the squad, with the team. One being Adam Idah, the other being Daizen Maeda. Now, these are very interesting interviews because for different reasons we want to hear what these guys are saying. Number one, Daizen Maeda, is he going to be a Celtic player next season? Is he planning on leaving the club? Will he sign a new contract? People are dying for the answers to that. And then on the flip side, you've got Adam Idah, who's had a bit of a hot and cold first permanent season at Celtic. A lot of critics, a lot of doubters, and I waits to see if he'll still be the priority striker at Celtic next year. You know, there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen with him. Will he remain a backup? You know, we don't know. So very interesting to hear both of them speak this afternoon. But I like both interviews a lot, especially Adam Idah's. So a big shout out to my mate Ryan McGinley, formerly of the Celtic Thunder, we all know who he is, who wrote an article this afternoon containing a lot about these quotes. Basically Adam Idah saying that he got into a good rhythm towards the end of the season, and hopefully that continues into the training camp and the pre-season tour. But he did hit back at critics, and of course the ex-players who constantly critique him every week, saying that if you don't score for a couple of games, it's not helpful to listen to an ex-player. I'm not really concerned what he thinks. I'm there to do my bit. There's a lot of pressure to be at this club to be successful. It's good. I think every player wants to play at a big club. However, with that comes the pressure. He said about how having a 20 goal season is good enough for him. He wants to build on that, and I like hearing them say this, because I think there's a lot of people who are just desperate for Idah to fail because of the price tag. It's not his fault, and I know that the jury's still out on him. Of course, I've done my bit here on this channel to rally behind him at any given opportunity through the good and the bad. But I think we should all be doing that. I don't think we should be actively hoping for any Celtic player to fail. And this is a guy who clearly wants to relish the opportunity of playing for this club. So, yeah, I'm glad to see him hit out of these pundits and such that want to question him. But the big thing is for him now is to use that energy and use these words that he's hitting out with in his performances next season. Leave absolutely no doubt or questions about his ability, and build off what was a fine 20 goals for a guy that started the season as backup striker. It's crazy. And he could have done better. He could score a lot more. He wasted some chances here and there. But strikers do that. So, yeah, I'm happy with the big man. I hope to see him kick on next year. Fair play to him. And as for Daizen Maeda, there was an article that came out today by freelancer Mark Walker, which contains some quotes about him moving forward, about a message delivered by the striker. Now, I say this in the same vein that I said about his quote that was in the Celtic TV video last week. I think it's very easy to get carried away with phrases like message or promise or stuff like that. He's not came out and said, I will be at Celtic next year. I am definitely staying at Celtic next year. I'm signing the contract. But it's positivity, and it's the positivity that you like to hear. So there was big words from him in that article. We'll go through them in a moment. Hopefully a pointer towards the fact he wants to stay with the club. Daizen said in the article that he was in great form this season, both personally and the team in great form as well. So I'd like to keep that going next season. I am who I am because of my team, Celtic. I'd like to thank my teammates and above all my family for supporting me so far. I would be happy if I could score more goals next season. I hope the number of goals will continue to increase. So yeah, as I said, no promises that he'll be here. I'm not saying that he's delighted to stay at Celtic, wants to stay at Celtic, but, you know, alluding to the fact that he still wants to be here. You know, he still wants to build on what he's doing with Celtic, with his teammates. And I hope that's what he truly is trying to say. You know, Daizen, don't go anywhere, son. Stay here. You know you want to. Right, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. I'm going to get out of here. I've yapped for far too long. I said this would be quick. I was lying, wasn't I? I was lying. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.